Ever since I've started meditating, I've released so many self-limiting beliefs that used to keep me small, and I've replaced them with new beliefs that allow me to take up more space and show up as my authentic self. Meditation gives you the tools that are necessary for self-growth. In this video, I'm going to talk about what those tools are and how they apply to the process of releasing self-limiting beliefs. If you'd like to meditate with me, please check out my guided meditations in the description below. So the first tool that meditation gives us is awareness. And awareness is the first step to change. In meditation, we sit and we observe the thoughts in our minds and the emotions and sensations that arise in our body. And through this practice of observation, we become more aware of what's happening in our minds. And this is really helpful for the process of releasing self-limiting beliefs because first we have to become aware of the self-limiting beliefs, right? And most of the time we're not consciously aware of our limiting beliefs. So meditation trains us to become aware of those thoughts that come up in our minds. That thought can then help us to dig deeper and find the root of that thought, find the belief that we have inside of us. It may have been formed a really long time ago. A lot of the times we have beliefs that we haven't really checked, as in we have these beliefs, but we haven't asked ourselves whether this is actually something that we believe in. We just assume that it's true because it's a belief that we have. But a lot of the times beliefs can be learned. That means that they're not intentional and we haven't checked in with ourselves to see if this is a belief that we want to hold on to or not. So in this video, the example that I'm going to use is my process of releasing self-limiting beliefs when it came to uploading guided meditations. So I knew that I wanted to guide meditations and I was so scared. And the thing is, I was so afraid of judgment and criticism. And that's what was stopping me. Whenever I thought about uploading guided meditations, this voice in my head would say, "Who do you think you are? What makes you think that you can do that?" I was afraid that I wouldn't be good enough. And I think this is a fear that a lot of people can relate to. And when I was first aware of these thoughts in my mind, and I was aware of the fear that I would feel in my body, it stopped me. I thought, okay, then I can't upload guided meditations. This isn't for me. But the thing is, awareness is the first step to change. Sometimes you might not be consciously pushing yourself to change, but once you're aware, the process of change starts to begin, even if it's really slow. So the second tool that meditation gives us is the ability to let go of our thoughts and beliefs. Because when we sit in meditation, we notice how temporary our thoughts and emotions are. They come and go. No matter how intense, at some point, they will pass away. So all thoughts and emotions are impermanent. Nothing stays forever, which means it's not a truth and it's not a part of you. It's not your identity. The thing is, most of us are very attached to our thoughts and beliefs. That's why we get offended when people don't agree with us or have different opinions. That's why we get defensive. It's because we really identify with our thoughts and beliefs. But meditation shows us that they are not a part of our identity. They're temporary, so they can be changed. We can choose what we want to believe. And this opens up the space to reinvent yourself and to evolve instead of clinging to old definitions. So going back to my example of uploading guided meditations, I was aware of my thoughts and I was so scared that I couldn't do anything about them. But the thing is, even though I was scared and even though my thoughts were stopping me from actually doing anything, I couldn't stop thinking about guiding meditations. It was that inner calling. It was too strong. I couldn't deny it. And I knew that I needed to do it. So I knew that in order to actually start guiding meditations, I first needed to change what I believe about myself. So I spent a lot of time rewriting that script in my mind. I I would just tell myself that I am qualified to guide meditations because of my experience with meditations. I know what meditations are effective for me because I use meditations to soothe my chronic anxiety. So I know what works, and I can share that. And that's so valuable. I convinced myself that that alone would make me a great meditation guide. And of course, this took time. I had to convince myself over a period of a few months. But very slowly, I did start to believe that I could guide meditations. I woke up one day and I realized that I'm ready. So I uploaded my first guided meditation. The third tool that meditation gives us is emotional resilience. In meditation, we sit with our thoughts and emotions, which can be really, really uncomfortable. And we learn to sit with the discomfort instead of running away. A lot of us are used to running away from our uncomfortable thoughts and emotions. We distract ourselves, we avoid them, we try to keep ourselves busy so that we don't have to focus and feel the discomfort in our bodies. But meditation teaches us that the only way to alleviate the discomfort is actually to sit with it and to be okay with it. And this is such a valuable tool when it comes to the process of releasing your self-limiting beliefs. Because this doesn't happen overnight, and it's definitely not a linear process. It requires moving through the discomfort of releasing your self-limiting beliefs, of being in between the old beliefs and the new beliefs, and the old version of you and the new version of you. It's a really uncomfortable and confusing place to be in. It requires a lot of patience and resilience to stay in that in-between phase and to continue trusting that things are changing, because sometimes it can feel like you're going backwards. So going back to my example, I had just uploaded my first guided meditation, and then all the fear came back, and I couldn't check the meditation for over a month. I had no idea if people had responded, if people had listened to it, or if they'd commented. I couldn't look because I was terrified, and I allowed myself to be terrified. I didn't try to force myself to go back and check the meditation. I just let myself go through the process. And I think I spent about a month or so in that phase of not wanting to actively move forward, because I was in that in-between phase where I had sort of let go of my old beliefs, but I hadn't yet integrated the new beliefs. And this is how the process went. Very slowly, I started posting. When the fear came back, I would stop posting. Then I would wait for the fear to go away. I would post again. So very slowly, more and more, I began to let go of my old beliefs, the old version of myself. And one day I reached a moment where I was no longer afraid to check the comments. I was no longer afraid to upload new meditations. And of course, even now, there are the odd days when I feel insecure and the fear comes back. Of course, now it only comes back for a few minutes. It doesn't stay for a long time. But this is the process of releasing self-limiting beliefs. And I think that meditation gives us the tools to stay emotionally resilient through the process. So meditation gives us the tools of awareness, of letting go, and of emotional resilience. And these three tools combined support us in the process of self-growth, of releasing any beliefs that aren't serving us anymore. And just this year, I repeated this process for my anxious attachment style, as well as my fear of starting a YouTube channel. And I'm here today because the process worked, and meditation continues to support me in this process. It reminds me that I have the power to identify the thoughts and beliefs that aren't serving me, that are keeping me small. I can choose new beliefs, and that means that I can always choose a new version of myself.